During the time of the Middle Passage and the Underground Railroad, millions of African men, women, and children were savagely torn from their homeland and forced onto ships. Aboard the ship, they were chained wrist to wrist and ankle to ankle. Above the ship, Africans would rather die than face an unknown fate, so it wasn't uncommon for an African to jump overboard. The entire shark migration changed due to all the Africans either jumping overboard or getting thrown off. About 30 to 60 million Africans experienced the Middle Passage, but only a third of them survived. The Africans had no idea what to expect on the trip. When they landed, they sold the Africans as property. Only wealthier planters could afford them. Most slaves began to work at the age of 6, but if slaves messed up, some slaveholders used harsh punishments to maintain control. Most black children were often denied into public schools, so they set up separate schools. Most Southerners viewed free blacks as a dangerous group that had to be controlled. So bounty hunters went out and tried to catch runaway slaves for money. Slave breakers were men who were experts at turning independent, spirited African Americans into obedient slaves. When pushed too hard, slaves refused to work, rejected orders, or struck back violently. Resistance turned deadly when some Africans put poison into their master's food. Some slaves would sometimes try to act clumsy, sick, or insane to escape from work. Many slaveholders encouraged their slaves to go to church, but it didn't go over very well with the slaves. Instead, they set up invisible churches in slave quarters or in secret forest clearings called hush arbors. Africans started retreating to the north and Canada to escape from slavery. An estimate 10,000 slaves went on this route called the Underground Railroad. The line that separated the free states from the slave states was called the Mason-Dixon line. Henry Box Brown put himself in a box and mailed himself as cargo. Unfortunately, he was mailed upside down. The slaves had to be very cautious when trying to escape. They had to travel miles and then finally the Ohio River, which was a mile wide. If they couldn't find freedom in the north, they had to travel up to Canada, which ensured freedom for the slaves.